Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Tinker O'Toole again here with another video for the beginners there. Just going to talk about splitting axes versus maul, understanding the difference between the two. First of all, we'll just talk about the splitting axe. The one right at the back, the Fiscus X21, has got a head weight of 1.6 kg and the length is 720 mils in length. The Husqvarna splitting axe, 2.8 kilos, 700 mil in length. The Stihl Oxenkoff, it's got a weight of 2.8 kilos and a total weight of 3.9 kilos with a very heavy strike protector there. The next is the Fiscus X27, total head weight of 2.4 kilos, 900 mil in length. The next one is the Estwing, head weight of 2.9 kilo, total weight 4.1 kg. Now, which one do you get? Well, first of all, there's no such thing as one will suit all. Doesn't work that way. Reason being, you're not going to use these two or these three here to split small timber up to about 4 to 6 inches. Certainly with 4-inch timber, smaller timber, you can certainly use the smaller one, 1.5 kilo, 2.8. 2.8, you're going to be able to split wood up to about a foot, no problems. This one here by Stihl is a beautiful splitting axe. As I said, it's got a total weight of 3.9 kilo and it's 2.8. And with this ferrule here, it's more like 3 kilos around the head area. And we only got 2.4 kilos on this one here. Now, one of the other things that you will notice, and I can show you, is that when you're looking at a splitting axe, you'll notice it's got a nice radius, a nice curve. What that is actually good for, that when you bring your axe down, it should be pretty horizontal like that. But with that curve, you can strike in that position or strike down in that position. So you've got a bit of variation on your strike. As well as the Husqvarna has got that nice curve. So you've got a bit of variation there as well. And look at the variation they've put on the Estwing. Usually you don't see that on a maul. Look at that, use it as a sledgehammer. So you've got huge variation on that as well, where you strike. So that's something to consider, that if you're going to buy a maul or a splitting axe, that it's got a curve on it. If you look at the Fiscus, there's barely a curve. There is a slight curve on that, but hardly any. And if you look at the X21, it's the same thing, barely a curve on there. Now the other thing is, I'm 5'9", so one of the ways that I judge a splitting axe or a maul, this is a little bit too short for me, 700 mil. If I hold this one here and I hold it right beside, and I stand straight and I hold it beside my leg, it almost touches the ground. So that's the perfect measurement for me. The longer the handle, one thing I'll say about shorter handles, the shorter handles, you can control them more and you get less hand fatigued in the shorter handle, and also the less weight. So the heavier the maul, the longer the handle, you'll certainly get hand fatigue, guaranteed. So the one that you'll choose, you're better off having two. So you're better off having, say, something like either the Husqvarna or the Stihl, and then having something, a maul, so that you could actually use the head if you're going to use splitting wedges. So, because if you're starting to swing this has got a total weight of 4.1 kg. You're going to be swinging that for a couple of hours, you'll get tired. Even this one here has got a total weight of 3.9, so you're going to get a little bit tired swinging that. This one here with 2.8 kg, you won't get as tired. So yes, you could have a small one like that or that, any one of these two. but certainly at 2.8 kilo you'll be able to chop up some decent wood with that one. This one is the best all-rounder. Not too heavy, but well, it's heavy enough. It's getting on the heavy side. And this one is tipping the scales at over 4 kg, so yeah. This actually feels very well balanced. This also feels reasonably well balanced as well. But this has definitely got a heavier head weight, and you can feel that. Now the other thing is, and I'll just sort of swing the camera around, what I want to show you is that when you are chopping your wood, you'll see a lot of people chop on the ground. That's a big mistake. Because when you're bringing your axe down, you want your axe to be horizontal. So just grab the Fiscus X27, and what you want to avoid doing is this, having it at an angle. It's got to be like that. So if you were to put a block of timber on here, we'll just sort of go in here. So if you were to get this block of timber, I'll just zoom back out there, and you're going to split that. Not that I'd split that, it's got too many knots in it. You want to split it sitting flat, not like that, not like that. In this position that I am, I can bring this down flat, perfect. Now I'll just grab the still and you'll see the difference. Now this is one of my favourites. Now if you look carefully, you'll see the gap. It's underneath here and underneath there. I think you can see that. We'll just sort of come over here a little bit closer. So you could strike this timber. You've got variation. So that's one of the things about having the curve on the bottom. You've got variation where you strike. Whereas when you've got it flat, you don't have that variation, and it's much more critical that you bend your knees. So what I was talking about before, and I'll just see whether you can see that or not, that if I stand here and I hold this axe down, so there's my arm right beside me, I'm about 1 inch off the ground. For me, that is the perfect position if I'm going to strike this log here, because when I bring it down it's going to be horizontal. If I'm splitting a log on the ground, it's going to be at that angle like that. We'll just push that off. Look at that angle. That is totally, you're going to have to bend down an enormous amount if you're going to split low to the ground. So if that was a log and you wanted to split it, it's not the most ideal way to do it. You really do want to split in a block. So this splitting block here is probably just over about 350 mil high, and this one's a lot higher, probably around 500 mil higher. So the smaller timber that I split gets split on that one, and the smaller timber in height gets split on there. So just to briefly recap, whatever is it you decide to choose in a splitting axe or a splitting maul, bear in mind that when they're getting up around 3 and 4 kilos, you'll get tired very quickly. After a couple of hours you'll be knackered. Whereas if you get something between 1.5 kilos and 2.5 kilos, you'll be able to sustain chopping much longer. You'll get much less hand fatigue. So certainly on the heavier ones and the longer handles, you'll get more hand fatigue, and that's why it's good to have more than one. So, you know, you can have a lightweight one and you can have your heavyweight one, or you can have three, light, medium and heavy. You got the best of, if you were to go that way, light, medium, heavy, I'd probably go something like 1.5 kilos, 2.8, 2.8, 4.1. So with the light one at the back, the Fiscus X27, means that if I'm away camping or something like that, I can split more small timber. If I'm at home, I can split small timber. I could do that hours on end. Then when I go to the bigger logs up to a foot, I can use this one, or I could use this one, or I could use this one. So I just like to have a good selection of them, so it gives me a variety of which one to use. And just bear in mind, they're all made by reputable manufacturers. So you've got Fiscus at the back, which are probably the world's most popular. This Husqvarna is extremely popular. The Stihl is extremely popular. Estwing is extremely popular in America. It's an American company. You may know them from the hammers, Estwing hammers. So they make sledgehammers, axes. Yeah, they make a lot of different tools there. Yeah, I said sledgehammers. So bear in mind that not one of these dominates, or this one's better than that one. It doesn't work that way. It's what is suitable for you. Just don't go out and buy something that's really heavy, because if you've got to use it for 3-4 hours, you're going to get tired. And don't go out and buy something like this Fiscus X21 that weighs 1.5 kilo and expect that you're going to split big rounds of timber day in, day out, because it's not really up to the job. You want something minimum of 2.8 kilo, something like that. This is 2.4 kilo, but it has a long handle, and surprisingly enough, it is one of the most popular ones out there, because you can swing this for quite a number of hours before you get a bit tired. So it's extremely popular. But this is my favourite. This is my favourite. That's a beast. I love the curve. When we're talking about curves before, you can strike the timber. You don't have to be dead horizontal with this. So this is its overstrike protector, this beak part here, because if you have a look, it's level about here. Now, the only other thing that I will just emphasize on overstrike, don't go out and buy these expensive. This was about $180. You can go out and buy some other German ones that are around near $300. And they don't virtually have any overstrike protectors on them. If you go out and buy a really expensive one, you're really better off practicing on a really cheap one from China. We sell them here in Australia at our local Bunnings store for $30, $40 for a splitting axe or a splitting maul. They're fairly cheap. They work all right. But if you damage the handle and you wreck it, it's not so bad as damaging something like this or something like the Estwing, because these are very expensive compared to the cheap Chinese ones. So I would recommend practicing on a cheaper one, and when you get good at it, then use your good one, because very, very rarely do I ever miss when I'm aiming for a log, whereas going back 20 years ago when I first started using one of these axes, it was quite common to miss and damage the wooden handle. Not the first time I replaced a wooden handle. So when you do get good at it, you'll learn where to strike the timber. It's a good idea that you start just in off the edge of the round, about an inch or so in, and work your way to the middle. It depends how big the round is. But yeah, you've got to learn to develop a technique, and a technique that's accurate. And as I said, a longer handle is less accurate until you get used to using it. Once you get used to using it, then your accuracy can be just as good as a short handle. But generally speaking, if you're a new person, you'll find out, and you just go out and buy, say, the Fiscus X27 with a long handle, wouldn't be surprised you'll damage the handle because you're not used to that long handle and you're not used to swinging it accurately. And you've got to get used to bending your knees. It depends on how you set up your chopping block, as I demonstrated before over there. You need a chopping block. Roughly, I'm using just over about 750 mil height combined with the piece of wood that I'm splitting in the chopping block. 750 mil height means that most of the time my axe or maul is coming down horizontal, and it means I don't have to bend my knee, so less work at it. Makes it easier on myself, that's all. Anyway, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up. Bye for now.